Close your eyes for a moment. Think back to a time before everything moved so fast. A time when the night had weight to it. When you could feel a voice come through a radio speaker and it would stop you cold. Not because you were told to listen, but because something in you already knew. Something in your chest recognized it before your mind could catch up.
It's coming on back to me.
That was Aretha Franklin in the 1960s. She was barely in her 20s when she started carving her name into the walls of American music. And she did it not by shouting louder than everyone else, but by going deeper. Way down into a place where church met street corner, where gospel met heartbreak, where a woman's voice became the whole story of a generation trying to breathe.
All I'm asking you is for a little respect.
Tonight, we're going back. Back to those 10 songs, 10 moments that changed something. In radio booths, in living rooms, in the back seats of cars parked outside houses where people were figuring out how to love, how to leave, how to stay. This is not a history lesson. This is a late-night drive through memory. And Aretha Franklin is at the wheel. If this kind of storytelling moves something in you, go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to RnBFeeds. We'll keep the light on.
RESPECT, find out what it means to me.
Number 10. Today, I think is exactly what makes it devastating. There's a moment, right around the second verse, where her voice curls slightly at the end of a phrase, and it sounds less like performance and more like confession. You'll know this song if you've ever woken up and felt blue for no reason you could name. And you'll know why. 60-some years later, it still sounds like this morning. Hold on to that quiet, because number 9 takes us somewhere that quiet learns to walk upright.
'Cause we were lovers last night, honey.
Number 9. Won't Be Long. Aretha Franklin, 1961.
Baby, here I am.
If you've ever been in a room full of people who were genuinely physically happy, not performing it, not chasing it, but swimming in it, then you already know what this song feels like before the first note even lands. By 1961, Aretha was beginning to stretch her wings at Columbia, and this track crackled with a kind of big band jubilation that placed her square in the tradition of the great gospel shout.
My daddy told me when he said goodbye yesterday.
She'd grown up watching her father, the Reverend C.L. Franklin, move entire congregations with nothing but his voice and the truth behind it. And something of that inheritance is all over this recording. The horns come in like a crowd rising to their feet. The rhythm section never lets up. And Aretha, right at the center of all that sound, sounds like someone who knows joy is real because they've lived long enough on the other side of it.
Won't be long. I ain't had no loving.
There's urgency here, but it's the urgency of someone running towards something, not away. In the early 60s, black communities across the South and North were beginning to believe, cautiously and fiercely, that change was coming, that waiting wouldn't be forever. This song was a soundtrack to that belief. When joy sounds like that, you carry it with you. But number 8? Number 8 brings us back inside, where the walls are closer and the feelings are quieter.
And I know when the whistle blows, it won't be long.
Number 8. Operation Heartbreak. Aretha Franklin, 1961.
Operation Heartbreak.
Some songs live in the space between the last word of a fight and the first silence that follows. That liminal moment where you don't know yet whether this is the end or just a pause. Operation Heartbreak lives right there. Aretha recorded this in those early Columbia years when producers were still unsure how to frame her. Jazz, pop, showbiz balladry. They tried a little of everything, and on this track, They landed somewhere in the territory of wounded elegance. There's an orchestral sweep beneath her voice that gives the song a cinematic quality, like watching something beautiful fall apart in slow motion through a rain-streaked window. What she does with the word heartbreak, the way it lands differently each time she reaches it, is something that no amount of vocal training can manufacture. That's lived experience. That's a young woman who already understood that love and loss are not opposites, but neighbors sharing a wall.
Without your love, I can't stay alive.
In 1961, women weren't supposed to sing about heartbreak this directly. You were expected to smile through it, dress it up, make it palatable. Aretha never got that memo, or maybe she got it and set it gently on fire. Some wounds stay elegant, but number 7 reminds us that sometimes what follows heartbreak is pure, defiant fire.
Why did you take your love from me?
Number 7, Rough Lover, Aretha Franklin, 1962. There's a certain kind of song that women in the early 1960s weren't really supposed to sing. Not this plainly, not with this much heat. Rough Lover walked right up to that line and stepped clean over it. This is Aretha, in a mode that her Columbia producers didn't always know what to do with. Raw, slightly dangerous, clearly rooted in the blues tradition of women who said exactly what they meant about desire, about power, about what they would and would not tolerate.
I'm looking for a guy who's brave and strong.
She was 20 at the time, and she already knew that the sweetest voices could carry the sharpest truths. The groove on this record has a low, rolling quality, like something restless trying to settle. The piano comps around her like a conversation partner who already knows where this story's going. And her phrasing, that way she bends into certain syllables and pulls away from others, makes you feel like you're listening to someone work something out in real time. 1962 was a complicated year for women, and complicated years require complicated songs. This one held nothing back. Sometimes you need a song with that kind of backbone. And number 6 gives us something different. Something that stands still in the middle of chaos and just breathes.
I'm looking for a guy who's right and wrong, will never set me free.
Number 6, Skylark, Aretha Franklin, 1962.
Skylark.
Late at night, when the city finally quiets down and you're alone with whatever thoughts you've been avoiding all day, that's when this song finds you. That's when Skylark makes sense. The song itself was written by Hoagy Carmichael and Johnny Mercer, a standard of American popular music that had already been sung by dozens of great voices. But when Aretha took it into the studio in 1962, something shifted. She didn't cover it so much as reclaim it, turning a wistful, searching melody into something aching and intimate and quietly devastating. Her voice on this recording has a different quality than on her up-tempo material. It's slower, more deliberate, like someone choosing each word carefully before letting it go. The strings that frame her don't smother the emotion. They lift it, the way good candlelight lifts the face of someone you love. Skylark asks an old question. Where do you go to find the thing your heart is looking for? In 1962, that question lived in the mouths of people crossing state lines, leaving small towns, sitting alone in apartments in cities that hadn't fully welcomed them yet. Aretha didn't answer the question. She just made it feel less lonely. Some questions don't need answers. They just need to be held. Number 5 holds something else entirely. something that shakes the floor.
I don't know if you can find all of these things.
Number 5, Lee Cross, Aretha Franklin, 1963.
Here comes Lee Cross.
There are songs that tell you a story and songs that make you feel like you're inside one. Lee Cross drops you straight into a scene, a story of love gone sideways, of a name spoken in a room where it no longer belonged, and it never quite lets you out. By 1963, Aretha was beginning to show signs of impatience with the polished, sometimes sterile productions Columbia kept pushing her toward.
He's a lover supreme.
Lee Cross has a rawer energy to it, closer to the church, closer to the blues, closer to the woman she was becoming. She pours the name into the microphone like an accusation and a memory at the same time. There's something almost cinematic about the way this song moves through its verses, building without rushing, letting the weight accumulate gradually.
He's got a wealth of kisses, honey.
Her control here is remarkable. She knows exactly how much pressure to apply and when to pull back, the way a great actor knows when silence is louder than speech. America in 1963 was a country in the middle of a reckoning. Grief and fury and hope existed on the same street corners. Music became a place where people could put the things that had nowhere else to go.
Talking about a Lee Cross.
Lee Cross gave that space to a very particular kind of hurt. The private kind. The kind you don't talk about at dinner. The private grief. The ones that stay in the chest. Number 4 knows that territory too, but it finds something else there. Something like resolve.
There goes Lee Cross. There he goes. There goes Lee Cross.
Number 4, Running Out of Fools, Aretha Franklin, 1964.
Are you sure you haven't got the wrong number?
You know the exact moment when patience runs out. Not the moment you announce it, not the argument, but that quiet internal click. That little door that closes somewhere inside you, politely but permanently. Running Out of Fools is the soundtrack to that click. Aretha cut this in 1964, and it has all the hallmarks of a woman who has done the math and found the numbers don't add up. There's no screaming here, no dramatic breakdown, just a voice that is perfectly, gloriously done.
And now you say you wanna break my heart. Why?
The groove underneath her is bouncy, almost jaunty, which makes the lyrical content land even harder. She sounds like she might be smiling, and that's the most dangerous kind of done there is. The song reached number 57 on the pop charts and number 33 on the R&B charts. Modest numbers by later standards. But this was still the Columbia era, before the full force of who she was had been truly captured on tape.
How I even love.
Still, listen to how she rides the rhythm section, how she ornaments the melody without ever losing the thread. That's mastery developing in real time. Running Out of Fools is, in many ways, the beginning of wisdom. And in 1964, a year of enormous social and political upheaval in America, running out of fools was a feeling that extended far beyond any single relationship. When you're done being a fool for something that doesn't deserve it, you find yourself. Number 3 is about exactly that kind of finding.
Even fools like me. Yeah.
Number 3, One Step Ahead, Aretha Franklin, 1965.
I'm only one step ahead of.
There is a kind of confidence that doesn't strut. It doesn't announce itself. It just moves, steady, purposeful, just slightly ahead of whatever is coming for it. That's the energy of One Step Ahead. That is Aretha in 1965, beginning to understand exactly how powerful she was.
One kiss away from your.
The mid-60s were a time of motion. People physically moving, marching, migrating, shifting. And culturally, Black America was beginning to demand not just recognition, but respect. One Step Ahead carries that energy in its bones. It's not aggressive. It's something more lasting than aggression. It's sureness.
That it's too soon to fall.
Listen to the way she sits back slightly in the pocket of the rhythm. Never rushing, never straining. She lets the groove come to her. That ease, that authority, is not accidental. It's the product of 10,000 hours in church pews and rehearsal rooms and late-night sessions where she learned the difference between performing and communicating. This song didn't explode commercially, but it mattered. To anyone who's ever had to keep moving, to stay one step ahead of what was trying to hold them back, this was a quiet anthem, sung not to a stadium, but to the person staring back at you in the mirror. One step ahead. And then, number 2, which is about the moment you stop running and simply stand.
Your breath on my shoulder.
Number 2, Sweet Bitter Love. Aretha Franklin, 1965.
Sweet, sweet bitter love.
Van McCoy wrote this song, but when Aretha Franklin sang it, she made it hers the way a river makes a canyon hers, by going deep and slow and patient over a very long time. Sweet Bitter Love is one of the most underheard jewels of the entire Columbia era. It is a ballad of exquisite restraint and aching vulnerability. The kind of song where every note is chosen and every silence is intentional.
Sweet bitter love.
There are singers who cry for effect, and there are singers whose voices bend like a branch in wind, naturally, involuntarily, and Aretha has always been the second kind. In 1965, the country was in a complicated conversation with itself about love in every dimension. Romantic love, civic love, the love a country owes its citizens.
I've had a dream.
And this song, on its surface a private love story, touched something deeper. That push and pull of something that costs too much and means too much to let go. She doesn't resolve the tension in this song. She holds it. For the entire runtime, she holds bittersweet like a living thing in her hands, and you feel the weight of it through every speaker.
Sweet bitter love.
That is the gift of the very greatest singers. They don't explain the feeling. They simply make the feeling happen in the room. Bittersweet. That word that holds two truths at once. And now, we come to number 1. The song that needs no introduction, but deserves the finest one we can give.
My magic dream.
Number 1. I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. Aretha Franklin, 1967.
You're a liar and you're a cheat.
January 1967. A recording studio in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. A black woman from Detroit sits down at a piano in a room full of white session musicians from the Deep South. And something happens that nobody in that room fully expected. This was the moment Aretha Franklin finally found the sound that matched who she actually was. Atlantic Records, producer Jerry Wexler, and a truth so raw and so physical and so unguarded that when the tape started rolling, everyone in the studio understood they were witnessing something unrepeatable. Technically, this song is a declaration of love, passionate, complex, almost reckless in its devotion to a man who doesn't entirely deserve it. But listen past the lyrics. Listen to what her voice does in the first 10 seconds. That low, almost conversational opening that builds into something vast and inevitable. That is not a performance. That is a woman. arriving, finally, at herself.
When baby, I'm the sweetest thing.
This record went to #1 on the R&B charts and broke into the pop top 10. It announced a new era, not just for Aretha, but for American music itself. For what a woman's voice was allowed to carry, for what black artistry was allowed to claim on its own terms. It was the beginning of the chapter the whole world would come to know. There has never been another voice that sounded like this. Not before, not since. And on a quiet night, with the right pair of headphones and nothing else competing for your attention, it still sounds like something that happened this morning.
I tell you, I ain't never other name.
Those 10 songs, 10 moments, 10 times a voice reached through a speaker and rearranged something inside whoever was listening. The 1960s were not a gentle decade. They were full of rupture and reckoning and beauty and bloodshed, and the particular exhaustion of a people who kept waking up and choosing to believe in a tomorrow that kept making them prove it deserved to be believed in.
You got me where you want me.
And through all of it, through the marches and the midnight fears, and the mundane heartbreaks, and the private joys, there was music. R&B in particular held the full emotional range of Black American life, without apology or simplification. It let joy be loud, and grief be quiet, and desire be spoken plainly, and love be complicated. It told the truth about what it meant to be human, at a time when not everyone agreed on the full humanity of everyone in the room.
Change.
Aretha Franklin didn't just sing songs. She kept the receipt for every feeling she'd ever had, and she paid it forward to anyone who needed it. That's why R&B still matters, not because it's nostalgic, but because the feelings it was built to carry, love, longing, fury, joy, the bittersweet weight of a life actually being lived, those feelings don't age. They don't go out of style. They just find new voices and new rooms and new late nights where somebody needed to not feel alone. And tonight, for a little while, that somebody was you. Good night, and thank you for listening.